Look at you, still breathing, still whole, still carrying that weight nobody else can see. You magnificent, fragmented, beautiful disaster. Welcome, not to the beginning, not to the end, but to the only place where the truth doesn't need a costume. Because everyone out there, they think they know you. Your family swears they raised you. Your friends claim they understand you. Your colleagues believe they've figured you out. Your enemies are convinced they've exposed you. But here's the thing that keeps you awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, wondering if you're going insane. None of them, not a single one, knows the real you. They know versions, performances, carefully curated exhibitions of the person you needed to be to survive their expectations. And somewhere between all those masks, all those roles, all those carefully rehearsed lines, you became a stranger even to yourself. Didn't you? Let's count the casualties, shall we? At home, you're the dutiful one, the responsible child, the one who carries the family legacy without complaint. They see someone predictable, safe, manageable. Someone who fits into the boxes they built before you were even born. They look at you and see their investment, their project, their continuation. You smile at the dinner table. You nod when they speak. You perform gratitude even when you're suffocating. Because to show them the real you, the you that questions everything, that rejects their blueprint, that dreams beyond their comprehension, would shatter their entire reality. So you protect them from yourself. You become their favorite lie. And they sleep peacefully believing they know exactly who you are. But they don't. They know the ghost you leave at their doorstep, the echo you perform in their presence, the shadow that says yes when everything inside you screams no. Then there's your friends. Oh, your beautiful, loyal, unsuspecting friends. They think they've seen you, really seen you. They've watched you laugh. They've heard your stories. They've witnessed your victories and your failures. To them, you're the life of the party, or the quiet observer, or the reliable shoulder, or the wild card, or the voice of reason. Whatever role the group needed, you filled it. And you filled it so well they actually believe that's who you are. They don't know about the version of you that exists in complete solitude. The you that doesn't perform. The you that doesn't calculate social dynamics. The you that sits in darkness and contemplates thoughts so heavy, so dark, so raw, that if you spoke them out loud, your friendships would evaporate like morning fog. They love you. Yes, but they love the version that makes them comfortable. The version that doesn't ask too many questions. The version that laughs at the right moments and stays silent during the uncomfortable ones. You've become so good at being their friend that you forgot to be yours. At work, you're someone else entirely. The professional, the competent one, the one who delivers, the one who handles pressure, the one who doesn't complain, doesn't crack, doesn't show weakness. Your colleagues see efficiency, see productivity, see someone who has it together. They see the armor, the performance, the perfectly rehearsed act of someone who belongs in that environment. But they don't see the you that parks in the lot 10 minutes early just to sit in silence, preparing mentally for the exhaustion of pretending. They don't see the you that screams internally during meetings while nodding professionally. They don't see the you that questions whether any of this matters, whether this path is yours or just another expectation you wore like a uniform. To them, you're a title, a function, a role in their machine, and you play it flawlessly. Because the alternative, showing them the truth, would mean unemployment, judgment, isolation. So you clock in, you perform, you clock out. And the real you never even enters the building. And then there are your enemies. Oh yes, let's not pretend they don't exist. The ones who didn't just misunderstand you, they weaponized their misunderstanding. They studied you, analyzed you, tried to crack your code so they could expose you, control you, destroy you. To them, you're a threat, a puzzle, a challenge. They think they know your weaknesses, your patterns, your breaking points. They've watched you long enough to build a profile. But here's what they missed. The version they studied was already a decoy. You never gave them the real you. You gave them something to chase, something to obsess over, something to waste their energy on. While they were busy dissecting the mask, you were evolving beneath it. They thought they were studying prey, but you were studying them, learning their methods, understanding their psychology, letting them believe they had power, while you quietly built immunity to everything they threw at you. Now they're stuck watching someone they tried to destroy thrive. And that's eating them alive. But here's the part that haunts you, isn't it? The part you don't talk about. The part that keeps you isolated even in crowded rooms. With all these versions, all these performances, all these carefully maintained personas, who are you really? When the family goes to sleep, when the friends go home, when the colleagues log off, when the enemies exhaust themselves, when the audience disappears, when the stage lights go dark, who's left? That's the question that terrifies you. Because you've spent so long being what everyone needed you to be, that the real you, the core you, the uncensored, unfiltered, unapologetic you, feels like a stranger. You look in the mirror and you don't recognize the person staring back. Are you the sum of all these versions? Are you none of them? Are you something hiding beneath them, waiting to emerge? Or are you just fragments, scattered across different stages, never fully whole anywhere? That's the horror nobody talks about. The loneliness of being everyone's something and no one's everything. Let me tell you what they don't see. They don't see the version that exists at 4 a.m. when sleep won't come and thoughts spiral into territories you'd never admit in daylight. They don't see the you that questions everything. Your purpose, your path, your worth, your sanity. The you that replays conversations from years ago, wondering if you said the right thing, wore the right mask, played the right part. They don't see the you that's tired, bone deep, exhausted from the performance, from the code switching, from the emotional gymnastics, from remembering which version to be in which environment with which audience. They don't see the you that sometimes fantasizes about disappearing, not dying, just vanishing. Starting over somewhere where nobody knows your name, your history, your roles, where you could just be without expectation, without performance, without the crushing weight of maintaining consistency across multiple realities. That version. The one that's screaming silently behind every smile. That's the one they'll never meet. Your family thinks you're stable. Your friends think you're present. Your colleagues think you're composed. Your enemies think they've figured you out. But the truth, the real truth, is that you're none of those things, and all of those things, and something else entirely that doesn't have a name yet. You're the person who learned to survive by fragmenting, by giving everyone a piece but never the whole, by protecting the core so fiercely that even you've lost access to it sometimes. You're the master of adaptation, the shapeshifter. The chameleon who forgot their original color. And that's not weakness. That's not manipulation. That's survival. Because the world doesn't reward authenticity. It rewards performance. It rewards the version of you that makes others comfortable, that validates their worldview, that doesn't challenge their assumptions. So you learned. You adapted. You became fluent in the language of masks. And now you're so good at it you can't remember what your face looked like before you learned to hide it. But here's what's happening right now, right this second. As you're listening to this, something inside you is waking up. Something that's been dormant, buried, suffocated under layers of expectation and performance. It's the part of you that's tired of the show, tired of the scripts, tired of being a different person for different audiences. It's the part that wants to burn every mask, reject every role, stop performing and start existing. And that part, that real, uncensored, dangerous part, is the one they're all terrified of. Because if you stopped being what they needed, if you stopped performing, if you showed them the real you, the one that doesn't apologize, doesn't explain, doesn't soften itself for their comfort, what would happen? Would they still love you? Would they still accept you? Would they still claim to know you? Or would they finally admit that they never did, that they loved the performance, not the performer. Here's the secret they don't want you to discover. The real you, the one beneath all the versions, is not palatable. It's not convenient. It's not what they signed up for. The real you has thoughts that make people uncomfortable, has desires that don't align with their expectations, has boundaries that feel like rejection to those who benefited from your lack of them, has darkness that doesn't fit their narrative of who you should be, has strength that intimidates those who preferred you weak, has silence that unnerves those who needed your words to validate them. The real you doesn't perform gratitude for things you didn't ask for, doesn't smile through disrespect, doesn't shrink to make others feel bigger, doesn't explain itself to people committed to misunderstanding. The real you is the version they've been trying to prevent, the one they label as changed, difficult, cold, distant. Because to them, your authenticity is a threat, your evolution is betrayal, your refusal to perform is aggression, and they'll do everything they can to pull you back into the role they need you to play. But you're not going back, are you? You can't. Because once you've seen the machinery, once you understand how the performance works, once you recognize the exhaustion for what it is, there's no unseeing it. You can't pretend anymore. You can't invest energy into maintaining versions of yourself that don't serve you. You can't keep fragmenting yourself across different stages, hoping someone somewhere will love the real you without ever showing them who that is. The game is over, not because you lost, but because you finally realized you were never playing to win. You were playing to survive. And survival isn't living, it's existing. And you're done existing. You're ready to live. Even if it means living alone. Even if it means losing people who only loved your performance. Even if it means becoming the villain in their story. Because at least the villain is real. At least the villain stopped pretending. So let's talk about what happens next. What happens when you stop performing? First, they'll notice. Oh, they'll notice immediately. Your family will sense something different. You won't laugh at their jokes the same way. You won't engage in their drama. You won't carry their emotional baggage anymore. And they'll ask what's wrong. They'll tell you you've changed. They'll try to guilt you back into the role, but you won't budge. Because you finally realized that protecting them from the real you was never love. It was self-abandonment. Your friends will feel the shift too. You won't show up to things that drain you. You won't pretend to care about topics that bore you. You won't perform enthusiasm for their benefit. And they'll call you distant, detached, not the same person. And they'll be right. You're not. Because the person they knew was a character. And the show just got canceled. At work, you'll stop overextending. Stop proving yourself. Stop performing loyalty to systems that would replace you tomorrow. And they'll label you difficult, uncommitted, not a team player. Let them. Their labels don't define you anymore. And your enemies, oh, your enemies will lose their minds because the version they studied, the one they thought they understood, will vanish. They'll try their usual tactics, provocation, manipulation, trying to trigger the old you. But you won't respond. You won't engage. You won't give them the reaction they're fishing for, and that will terrify them. Because their power over you was always based on your predictability, your responses, your investment in their opinion. But now you're a variable they can't calculate, a force they can't control, a person who stopped playing their game entirely. And people who can't control you will always try to destroy you. But here's the beautiful part. You're already destroyed. You destroyed yourself. The old versions, the performances, the masks. You burned them all. And from those ashes, something they can't destroy is rising. The real you. The one they never knew. The one they'll never understand. The one they'll spend the rest of their lives trying to categorize and failing miserably. Because you're no longer performing for their comprehension. Now here's the hard truth. The one nobody tells you. Becoming yourself costs everything. Every relationship built on your performance will collapse. Every connection based on your convenience will dissolve. Every person who loved the mask will reject the face, and you'll find yourself alone, more alone than you've ever been, because authentic people don't have crowds. They have silence. They have solitude. They have peace, but they rarely have applause. And you have to decide, is the approval of people who don't know you worth more than the approval of yourself? Is being loved for a lie better than being unknown for the truth? Is the comfort of belonging to a group that demands your fragmentation worth the cost of losing yourself entirely? These are questions only you can answer. And the answer will determine everything. Will you keep performing, keep fragmenting, keep being everyone's something and no one's everything? Or will you risk it all? Risk the isolation. Risk the judgment. Risk being misunderstood forever by people who were never going to understand anyway. Because here's what I know. The people meant for you, the real ones. They won't need the performance. They'll crave the truth. Even the ugly parts. Especially the ugly parts. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a version of your life where you wake up and you don't have to remember which person you're supposed to be today. You don't code switch. You don't perform. You don't calculate how much of yourself is safe to reveal in each environment. You just exist, fully, unapologetically, without fragmentation. Your family either accepts you or they don't. Your friends either stay or they leave. Your work either values you or you find work that does. Your enemies either exhaust themselves or they finally give up. But in every scenario, you remain whole, undivided, consistent, the same person in every room, the same energy in every interaction. No masks, no scripts, no performances, just you. The real, terrifying, beautiful, uncensored you. That version of life exists, but it requires sacrifice. It requires letting go of everyone who can't handle the real you, and that's the price. That's the cost of authenticity. Loneliness before alignment. Isolation before true connection. Silence before the right voices find you. Here's what the real you looks like. The one they've never met. You're not nice, you're kind, and there's a difference. Nice is performative, kind is selective. You're not agreeable, you're discerning. You don't say yes to keep peace. You say no to keep sanity. You're not cold, you're boundaried. And boundaries feel like rejection to people who benefited from your lack of them. You're not distant, you're protected, because you finally learned that not everyone deserves access to your energy. You're not changed, you're evolved. And evolution always looks like betrayal to those who needed you to stay the same. You're not the villain, you're just no longer the victim. And people who fed off your suffering can't stand watching you thrive. This is who you are. When the performance ends, when the audience leaves, when the expectations dissolve, this is the person they were afraid you'd become, the person you were always meant to be. But let's address the elephant in the room, the fear, the one that keeps you performing even when you know it's killing you. What if the real you isn't enough? What if the authentic version is disappointing? What if you remove all the masks and discover there's nothing underneath? What if the performance was all you had, and without it you're empty, hollow, forgettable? What if being real means being alone forever? What if your family disowns you?